Morning, folks. So we finally did it. We sold the house, and I was just moving trucks and cars around so that we could load them up this morning, and I was thinking, one of the questions that I've gotten over the years is, how does transforming your property into a permaculture property affect resale value? And I just wanted to make a bit of a video on that. And so right next to us here, we've got kind of more of a conventional property, and this property just consumes from you. So you've got to cut the grass, you've got to maintain the trees. In this case, the property's not even managing their rainwater. We're doing it for them. And so most conventional urban properties are basically just money suckers. They just suck money out of you. Now, if you go back this way to our property, not only does this property give you food, but it provides habitat for insects. This actually is a hedge, it's a fruit hedge, and so our neighbors actually get to benefit from this. As they walk by, they can pick cherries, and it feeds us. We don't have to cut a lawn on this property. And going back to the original question, how does it affect resale value? We actually didn't even list this property on the market. It wasn't on MLS. We literally just put a word out to our network, and because this is one of Calgary's first food forests, and Michelle and I have been stewarding this property for the last decade, we had 4 people instantaneously interested in purchasing this property, and all we did was we had it appraised, and the people that offered to buy it were super happy with that number. And so I just wanted to contrast the difference between a conventional property and a permaculture property. And right now this food forest is in its ugliest state of the year, like right before spring, but it's just starting to bloom. You can kind of see the haskaps here. They're putting out their flowers and their leaves are emergent. Highly recommend this plant in any zone 3 climate because it's one of the first to flower, one of the first to produce berries. The apple is looking great, the sea buckthorn. And so this whole space is going to absolutely explode with foliage and flowers and start producing. The rhubarb's already up. There used to be some asparagus in here, but I'm not sure if it's still around. And so this property manages all of its own rainwater. So this roof, as well as the neighbor's roof, is feeding into these food forests, which helps to produce that productivity. Let's go to the backyard quickly. And so I guess the moral of the story is that transforming your property into something that's not conventional is actually really good for resale value, because there are so many in marketing. There's this concept of defining your niche and differentiating yourself. Well, pretty much every property in the city is a piece of crap. It's all the same. It's all the same garbage. It's plastic lawns or regular grass, and there's so few properties that are actually different than other properties, that by putting a bit of a flair onto your property and changing its functionality, you actually differentiate yourself. And so we had no problem selling it, and if I wanted to continue to live in the city, I'd probably keep doing this, because I think you could actually make a bit of a living doing this. So our backyard garden, the one that we've been using for the last 10 years, needs a little bit of an upgrade. Some of the beds are falling apart, but again, this whole space is productive. We've got food coming out of the garden. We've got an outdoor kitchen there, where we can have community events with the cob oven. We used that last night as our closing party. We celebrated the departure from the city. We've got a solar thermal rig up there, which provides all of our hot water, the majority of it. A passive solar greenhouse, composting system. We used to have a greywater system that processed our shower and our laundry water into the garden. A small little micro pond, and a roof that's ready for solar. And so everything about this house and this property became about how do we lower our monthly operating costs, improve our family's health and nutrition, connect ourselves a little bit closer to nature even though we live inside of a city, and improve our comfort and well-being within the house by retrofitting it in a number of different ways. And so if you haven't seen our documentary on this property, we'll leave a link to it up here and down in the show notes below. I encourage you to go check it out, because it talks about most of these projects in detail, how we did them, why we did them, and what a journey we've been on. Over the last 10 years, really kind of having the courage to stand out of the crowd and do something completely different. And as a result of it, you know, we've ended up with an incredible community of people around us. We learned an enormous amount about permaculture, and it really prepared us for our next journey, which is the farm that we're currently on. And you're going to see a lot of videos coming out about those in the coming years, as well as this new really cool business that we're starting called Fifth World, which again you'll hear about in the coming years as that evolves. So I just wanted to make that video. If you have any questions or comments about turning your urban property into a permaculture paradise, leave them in the show notes below. If you haven't taken a permaculture design course, you've been on the fence for a while, you've been wanting to do this to your property because you're concerned about food security, you want to improve the nutrient density of the food for your family, or any of the other reasons that I've mentioned, then take the leap. Jump into a PDC. I'll leave a link to our PDC in the show notes down below. There's another one starting towards the end of this year. I believe we're launching the course as of June 1st, so you'll be able to buy tickets to that course very, very soon. I'd love to help you achieve your dreams, transforming your property into a permaculture paradise that provides so many of your needs on a property that you're already paying for, so that your property can actually give back to you as opposed to you constantly having to give to it. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in the next video.
That's right.